Hi everyone, Jim Egan, head of school, Synapse School with a Friday update. I'm at school at Synapse today. It's dead quiet, I'm the only one here. I have some stuff to do, including this video update, and I'm gonna get into it in just a second. Yeah, it's quiet here today, which is often for me a wonderful time to reflect, take in, observe, go into everyone's spaces, all the teacher spaces. It's somewhat overwhelming, to be honest with you, in a very positive way. And yesterday, it was not that way. We had our T1 portfolio day, and it was unbelievable. It was so good. It was so great. I got a text message from a parent. He does this very often. He will remain nameless. If he's watching, I so appreciate this. I shared it with our staff yesterday at our Circle Up. We circle up after portfolio day. Each trimester in T2, it's interactive lab. And this is what he wrote. My dude, that's what he calls me. Some people can call me that if they want. That was the best portfolio day yet. The exploration and thinking that the kids got to on their projects was so much deeper than ever before. Yes, they are older, so that makes a difference. Those are his kids. But the teachers have really done a fab job pushing them, challenging them, and giving them the tools to get better. Thanks to the whole team for keeping both kids learning and thriving. We are deeply grateful. This is just awesome, all right? And we had a conversation, a brief one after that. If you want to send feedback like that to me or to the teachers or anyone here, please do. And if you've got constructive feedback about how we can improve things, please send that as well. That is just the best. And I agree. In many ways, I think this portfolio day was the best ever. Certainly the projects, as Stephanie Cito told me, were refined, right? She's the middle school head. You saw this if you were in the engineering and design space, the bathymetry unit in 7-8, like clearly with that wave tank. From the last time we did the project, there's been a refinement in sort of upping of the game. If you look into the L3 projects around Egypt, same thing. They really were refining that traditional unit, that project that we do, and there was just so much to take in. Again, there's almost too much. But I want to focus on what Shelley, our 5-6 humanities teacher, pointed out to all the staff yesterday to make sure that they took a walk through B2 upstairs, what the SEL team, excuse me, put together. In particular, Blair, but obviously Keiko and May had a lot to do with this as well. And I was thinking about SEL quite a bit this past week. I had the opportunity to moderate a chat and discussion with Dr. Borba, the author of Thrivers. Great book, right in line with everything we do here at Synapse, as she recognized as well. And the conversation was for Common Ground. Many of you may have been there. If not, I think there's a link that'll be shared too. And there was so much discussion around lack of confidence with kids and teens, and lack of levity, lack of optimism, inability to find self-confidence when you really need it. And we hear this more and more and more with young people. I think this is happening with adults as well. And it's really disconcerting and can be somewhat overwhelming. And then I do what Shelley reminded us to do, is I walked through that B2 space yesterday afternoon. And what I saw there was a unit, a self-compassion, self-judgment exploration that they put together for 5, 6, 7, 8. Their objectives, I have them written down here, were to enhance emotional literacy, to recognize patterns, accurately identify personal moments of self-judgment, and to sort of acquire those skills for self-regulation and independence, and then they go into the process, and there are some essential questions as well. And it's overwhelming, actually, to do that walk yesterday. There were a lot of teachers who did it earlier in the day, certainly lots of parents did as well. And when you go through, and I wrote some of the questions on my whiteboard here, they asked students a number of things, right? They asked students to share how they commonly experience self-judgment in their day-to-day lives, right? And then there were sticky notes, and it was hard to read, actually. It was sort of a heartbreaking experience. They asked students to respond compassionately to each other's self-judgments and display what they wrote. And then there's this uplift, right? Because as they point out in this display, while we might self-judge harshly, we usually think of our close friends in a very positive light. These are the teacher's words. And show great compassion when they experience self-judgment of their own. They even asked parents of 5, 6, and 7, 8 to display their commonly experienced self-judgments. And they defined the terms. What does it mean to have self-compassion? There were surveys. This is how we do it here at Synapse, right? We're very scientific in our approach. It was just a brilliant SEL lesson. And after thinking about that 5, 6, and 7, 8 experience that I had just as the head of school, I was juxtaposing it to the amazing stuff that the T1, the kindergartners, had put up around self-compassion, right? And I wrote down some of what those littlest kids, not our littlest, we have TK, they did a super job as well. They were on to some really fun stuff around the yes and statement that we are teaching them right away, right? It's a positive way to talk here. But the kindergartners were able to display what they loved about themselves, what they really liked about themselves. And I wrote down some anecdotes. These are not all inclusive, but just things that I just picked up. One said, I love that I am kind to other people. Another said, I like that I'm happy. Another person said, I love that I am loving. My heart is very good. I love that when I sleep, it makes me feel better. I like my eyes. I love my curly hair. It's also golden. I like my curly hair too. I like myself because I like what I do. I love myself, exclamation point. I love that I am brave. These are all different kids, these statements. I love that I can do cool things. I love that I am kind to other people. I love that whenever I meet a new friend, their face gets printed on their top. Let me read this again. Every time I meet a new friend, their face gets printed on the top. Their name gets printed on the bottom of my heart. And when I run out of space, my heart just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So you have this going on with the littlest kids, right? But something happens to us humans over time where we begin to forget these wonderful things about us that we liked and loved as young ones. And as we get older, this self-judgment comes into play. And the fact that our teachers at the youngest age are having our kids recognize what they love about themselves, right? And then as they're moving through to those ages and stages where doubt creeps in and recognition of who we are as individuals when we're adolescents, we start to compare, right? We start to self-rank. We're not doing that stuff here at Synapse, but it just happens. To have those teachers in the middle school help kids articulate their own judgments and then express to them the facts, the data around when they're judging others, their friends, the people they care about, they're not judging in a harsh way. And then to have them express to their friends who are going through a difficult moment, letters of gratitude, right? And letters that are helpful. And to display all of this, it's just let's be open about it. Like, that's what an SEL school is all about. By the way, any school could take the time to do this, right? Yes, we're innovative and creative, and we have this incredible space, and we saw this yesterday, but I just wish more opportunities were out there for kids to discover love of self, and then as they're developing, to get some language around what's happening in their emotional life, express it, get into a safe space with their teachers who are gonna make it okay for them. It's just amazing. If you haven't seen the 5, 6, 7, 8 project in building number 2, it's gonna stay up. So parents, I recommend you go through there. And oh, there's one other thing I wanted to point out that came out of that 5, 6, 7, 8 SEL experience. They had a question: what does an SEL school feel like, sound like, look like? And a couple anecdotes that I really liked that the kids wrote on sticky notes. What it feels like, one student said, too kind that it is cringe. And I think that is probably about right. It sums up Synapse. Sounds like, and then these are quotes of, I guess, statements that this student hears. I'm sorry, I understand, sure, let's have some fun, I forgive you. And looks like, I thought this was a fun way to encapsulate our school, looks like a rec center of super fun activities. It was just such a great day yesterday. And it led me to think about something I have been reading. It's a book called Keeping School, Letters to Families from Principals of 2 Small Schools, written by Deborah Meyer, Ted and Nancy Sizer, who are sort of mavericks in rethinking schools. And this idea of keeping school came to mind yesterday and certainly today as well. And in the introduction, Ted Sizer writes about keeping school. And I'll read it here. And so we settle on keeping school, as the word keep has a wonderful range of germane shadings. It means taking in the sense of watching out for. It denotes management, as in keeping house, and persistence, as in keeping at something. It implies the storing of things, sometimes to protect them, as in a castle keep. It implies holding fast, as in keeping faith. It describes the provision of sustenance, in a school's case, intellectual and moral sustenance, the gathering of adults, teachers mostly, sometimes parents, around the task of lifting up the children, right? Those are the small acts around the large idea that schools that are trying to change things pay attention to. So that's what I'm trying to do here, keep school. I was as proud as ever yesterday. I hope you felt the same. We love to hear your feedback, and have a super weekend. We'll see you next week.